Hello, VATE Village, and welcome to another interview. Today, we're really lucky to have the VATE President, Emily Frawley, with us. Emily teaches at Maribyrnong. Is it Maribyrnong Secondary College or Maribyrnong College, Emily?
I think it's either Maribyrnong.
Interchangeable.
Whatever works.
And you're the Year 11 Program Manager there. So we thought
Yes.
we'd catch up with you this week just to see how the first couple of days have been back in the physical classroom. How have the students been reacting to being back on campus?
I think so. We were all out there when school started yesterday morning, welcoming them back. I think they were really keen, really happy to see each other. I think they were pretty shocked to be up at that early hour of the morning. It was such a cold morning yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some people observed by about period 5, period 6, some of their sleep patterns that they've maybe been getting into while learning from home was starting to show. There's some pretty tired kids by the end of the day. I think a lot of us were feeling pretty exhausted by the end of yesterday as well. But on the whole, really happy to be back.
I can imagine, and just have that energy and feed off each other again. When they were learning from home, were they sticking to the regular school day timetable, or were you doing things in a more sort of asynchronous fashion?
We were on the school timetable still. We sort of hadn't heard that much about how other schools were doing it. We sort of went off the thinking that, say, if for English you've got them for 5 periods a week, you should try and do a Zoom video lesson with them maybe 2 to 3 times a week. And then the other lessons, you could be leaving them instructions and leaving your email contact details and either going on with work that had been set up in a previous lesson or doing more straightforward things that if they didn't get it done in that classroom time, they could maybe do it at other times as well. Some of the early feedback that we were getting as well while that was happening was that a lot of the students were feeling really overwhelmed and weren't feeling like they could keep up with the same sort of work output that they'd done maybe while they were physically at school. So we started doing 1 period a week catch-up lesson as well, just to take a lot of the anxiety off that was building for a lot of them.
I can imagine, and especially that senior end. Have you found that they've come back with a million questions about the work they were doing at home? What's their sort of first couple of days been like in that angle?
No, I don't think so. I taught both my VC classes yesterday, and I don't think in terms of the way they were able to grasp concepts was any different while we were learning online. It was interesting because in my program manager role, there's a bit of wellbeing involved with that as well. Some of the students who are sort of on our list who have anxiety or things like that, who I was calling while we were doing online learning, were actually really preferring that style of learning and had found that school actually causes a lot of anxiety for them and the structure and things like that, and they were really thriving having that time to themselves. But I was asking my year 12s just before they came back how they'd felt about it all, and they were unanimous in saying, no, we need to be back in the classroom, working with each other, being forced to do the work. Having to be self-motivated for that extent of time was pretty challenging.
It's a lot to ask of young people, and particularly young people who have other commitments at home. I know sibling relationships are probably a little tenser than ever at the moment in a lot of households.
It's sort of that realization that maybe hits sometimes once you start university, that no one's there to chase you. I mean, we tried to virtually as much as possible. We were doing weekly calls to third of the year level saying, we noticed you haven't submitted this work, we noticed you didn't come along to the class today, is there anything wrong, can we help in any way, or come to class?
Well, hopefully, I mean, that might be an unintended positive consequence, that students have a bit more of an idea about what the independent workload looks like.
It might bridge that change to uni or TAFE or whatever they go on to afterwards.
Is there anything else that you or the students have taken away from that remote learning period that you think this is something we might stick with now that things are sort of relatively back to normal?
So our school uses the compass system, which I know a lot of schools do as well. We hadn't used the full range of everything that offers previously. So I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to rely on that now, getting students to submit work through it and sending grades and feedback through it as well. That was definitely much more streamlined. I think hopefully those days of 25 students rocking up to class and trying to airdrop me their work that's due that day, maybe those days are behind us. Clogging up my inbox with all their large attachments and things like that. So yeah, I guess in that sense, it made me appreciate how great it is to be in the classroom and walking around a lot of the day. I did my back in earnest. I was seeing the physio through all of that, just sitting down, checking emails and things all day, and just that got overwhelming.
It's completely wild. I've invested in an IKEA standing desk as a workplace aid, but even, I mean, obviously my role at VATE, I'm not walking as anywhere near as much as when I was a year level coordinator last year. Which is probably one of the most active roles in the school, so I can understand change for you. Must be great.
Yeah, I don't really carry my phone around with me that much at school, so I don't properly track the Ks I get done walking around the school all day, but it'd be 2 or 3K. But I guess having more flexibility while we were learning from home as well meant you could just go for a run in the middle of the day. I loved that.
Yeah, no, certainly the quality of my lunches has improved as well.
Yeah, so many hot lunches.
How have your colleagues found being back in the physical environment? Have they had any initial feedback that you've heard?
I haven't seen a lot of them.
Yeah,
I know they're here. I would find it hard to summarize. I think people seem to be pretty mixed. Some people hated it, some people loved it. I think a lot of that came down to maybe how IT savvy people felt. Because if people weren't confident in that, there was a lot of stress. We definitely miss the kids.
I mean, it's why everyone's in it, isn't it? It's for the students.
Exactly. Yeah. I think all of us would say we loved not having the behavioural management issues. Super easy to just mute kids or kick them out if they were being disruptive.
Have you seen that meme that's doing the rounds about teachers saying, I'm going to mute you in the classroom? I think it's...
No.
Certainly reflects, I think, some of the positives from a behaviour point of view. Well, that's it. We just really wanted to do a check-in on the ground. Obviously, things are going to continue changing as we get more and more students back in the physical school environment, but it's great to hear.
Yeah, it's this weird transition period at the moment. I taught a period 1 class in person and then had to go teach a year 7 class via Zoom, but because we're all we can't all be Zooming from the same office, I had to go and physically travel to that empty classroom, give myself a few minutes leeway, and then just welcome the year 7s virtually back into the classroom. So that'd be weird. I'm still wondering, I think, did you see that Sydney had 2 schools closed? Yeah, just makes you wonder if I shouldn't get too comfortable and maybe have my desk chair ready to take back home at some point. I don't know if they get a day's notice that we're shutting down again.
Yeah, they seem fairly confident that many schools will shut at some point over the next 6 months. So teachers are nothing if not adaptable in that sense, as I think we've seen.
Yeah, I think we've seen that. Yeah. Ready to switch again at a drop of a hat. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We don't want to spend any more time on a Zoom call than you have to. So thank you again, Emily, for your time. Today it's been really great. I'm sure people will love to hear. And we'd love to hear from you, VATE members, about what your experience has been like first couple of days back in the physical classroom. We'd love to hear the stories.